If something's worth doing, it's probably worth doing right. What the fuck? Hey everyone, my name's Jake. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I'm here with the first-hand knowledge that you need to get any degree you want. And today we're going to talk about the best way to enhance and get the most from your reading using the SQ3R method. But before we jump into it, you know what to do. If you find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, and leave a comment with any thoughts and questions you might have. And if you're looking for more on how to become a more effective and better studier, make sure you check out my book. It's called Becoming an Engineer, The Average Person's Guide to Getting Good Grades and Succeeding in Engineering and STEM School. It's available in ebook and paperback right now, audiobook very soon. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for the support. Okay, so y'all read your textbooks, right? Right. Because if you aren't, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. If you've seen some of my other videos, you already know how I feel about how important it is to really read and absorb the material in your textbooks. Read your damn textbooks. And I know it's not the sexiest, most revolutionary suggestion ever, but I know a lot of you watching this video probably don't read your textbooks.
What did you say?
Just know I didn't either in the beginning. But once I started really reading and absorbing the material in my textbooks, it was probably the single most effective change I made while I was in school. I actually made a whole other video about that, so I won't repeat it all here. But if you haven't seen that video, go watch that one right now. I'll put a link in the description, then come back to this video. Okay, so assuming that we now agree on how crucial it is for you to be reading your textbooks, we agree, right? Right? Then we can now ask the next most obvious question, which is, how can you get the most from your reading? How can you spend that time the most efficiently? I wish it was that easy. The answer is the SQ3R method. The SQ3R method is an active learning method that's designed to keep you actively engaged in your reading, which is very important because some of your textbooks aren't what one would call page turners. SQ3R is an acronym that stands for Survey, Question, Read, Recite, Review. You might have heard of it before, but I'm going to kind of throw my little twist on it. And we're going to go through each step in more detail, starting with step 1, survey. The first step of the method is to do a quick survey of the chapter or section that you're about to read. So you should take note of section headings, definitions, charts, graphs, equations, anything you really recognize from lecture, you should be looking for in the survey. And don't read every word, right? This is just a brief skim. It should only take several minutes. But what it does is it primes your mind to recognize and respond more effectively when you do go back and read every word. Step 2, read and question. So once you've finished your survey, it's time to go back and read every word. Every single word. Take it slow and don't skip over anything. If you finished a page and you realize you have no idea what you just read, which happens a lot, stop yourself, refocus, and reread that page. Keep doing that till you've absorbed every single word. Then as you read, you should constantly be asking yourself questions and writing them down. Does this equation make sense to me? What's this chart telling me? Where did that variable come from? And is this lining up with what I'm learning in lecture? And as you ask these questions, you should immediately seek out the answers. You could do some research online. You could reference your lecture notes, or you could call or email your professor and classmates, right? By asking plenty of questions, you will really stay actively engaged in your reading. And remember to take plenty of breaks, right? This should not be a quick process, so let it take as long as it needs. I mean, I remember when I was in school, sometimes it would take like a full week for me to really read and absorb just one chapter in a textbook. So don't feel bad if this takes, quite a bit of time to be thorough and really get the most out of your reading. Quick little side note, the question step typically comes before the read step in this method, but it's my preference to ask questions as I do the reading. And that way I know that the questions I'm asking are a little bit more relevant and well informed. Step 3, recite. So who says talking to yourself isn't cool? It's well established that by verbalizing content, you actually secure that content to memory much more successfully. So as you read, say stuff out loud, read main points out loud, ask questions out loud, and then try to answer those questions in your own words. It's a great way to test and prove your own understanding of something if you're able to put that concept and content into your own words. Step 4, review. So this last step, you should really be solidifying what you've read and also clearing up any lingering questions you've had. So what you want to do during this step is go through each section, each major topic, and try to verbalize it to yourself. Or if you have somebody with you, try to explain each section, each main topic in your own words to that friend. That goes a really long way in proving that you have understanding, if you can teach it, right? The next thing is go through each question that you wrote down during your reading and try to answer those questions without referencing anything. Just answer them in your own words. And then the last thing is, if there's any practice problems in those sections, any practice questions, try to answer all those questions and work out all those problems without any solutions. And you want to be careful during this step because there's a big difference between recognition and recollection, right? So just because you recognize some equation doesn't mean that you can recall how it's used and what it models. So it's like when you recognize someone on the street, but you have no idea where you know them from and you have no idea what their name is, right? So during the review step, don't trick yourself into thinking that you can recall something when all you actually can do is recognize it. So make sure that you've actually remembered and absorbed the material. There you have it. That was a brief overview of how you can utilize the SQ3R method to really maximize what you're getting out of your reading time. So I know your guys' time is really valuable and you only have so much to throw around. So that's why it's really extra important that you utilize tools and methods like this one to increase your efficiency, right? To maximize the progress you're getting for the time you're putting in. And I've actually done a longer video on that, on efficiency and how important it is. Feel free to check that one out. I'll put a link for that in the description. So I think the last thing I want to say is, ideally I think it's important that you establish some sort of habit out of reading your textbooks. For me, it was, I would set aside several days prior to every exam and I would dedicate that time to reading and absorbing the material in my textbooks. I got better once I kind of got toward the end of my degree and into my master's degree. I would read my textbooks as the material was presented in class. So I'd spread it out a little bit better. And I had a lot more success with that. But either way, I think you should really try to develop some sort of habit out of reading your textbooks. And speaking of habits, I actually just posted a longer video. It was my last video about the best ways to establish a new habit. And I think it could really help out with this one. So make sure you check that one out. I'll put a link for it in the description. That's it for now. So I hope you found it entertaining and helpful. And until next time, thanks for watching and keep up the good work.